Yes, I will say it openly. The Slovak and Ukrainian governments have different opinions on various topics, but that is what life is about. And life is about respecting each other's different opinions. That is why today we will have the opportunity to talk together, not only about the things that connect us, but also about how to move forward on topics where we do not have the same opinion and find reasonable solutions for the future. However, it is certain, Mr. President, that the government of the Slovak Republic supports the superiority, independence, and territorial integrity of Ukraine. And our primary interest is for the war to end and not to escalate further. From the Slovak point of view, it is crucial for us to achieve a complex, fair, and sustainable measure in accordance with the basic principles of the OSN map. And, of course, first and foremost, the diplomatic path. Therefore, today's meeting will be important, of course, even when we look at specific projects. But it is important in itself. Perhaps if we said that we would not work anymore, that we would only have lunch. Unfortunately, the fact that we are together today is a very important signal. We are neighbors, and neighbors must live in good coexistence and help each other. Let's help each other if one of the neighbors does not need such help. I said that the key interest of the government of the Slovak Republic is to achieve a measure that I have precisely characterized, and that is primarily the diplomatic path. We all welcome, and I am very, very curious about your stance, Mr. President of the government. The information about, let's call it a summit of the American President, Donald Trump, and the Russian President Vladimir Putin in Budapest. In my opinion, this is information that could shock many people. I have a lot of rational reasons, and I can explain why such a meeting will take place and why this meeting is in Budapest. I want to publicly declare to the government of the Slovak Republic that we fully support this meeting, and the government of the Slovak Republic will offer any activity to our partners and friends in Hungary when organizing such a difficult summit, which could take place in a short time. Let's put all our efforts together. And if it is to be the result of these years, even such a measure as I have defined it, then I think that the world will have something to celebrate, because it will be one of the most important events in this century. Ladies and gentlemen, Mr. President, of course, as neighbors, literally neighbors, we give priority to practical cross-border cooperation, and we support the European integration of Ukraine. We have never said anything in this, and it still applies. If you are determined in your country, and you believe that your future is in the European Union, we equally believe that your membership will have both economic benefits, strong stability in this region, and, of course, will give new impulses to our bilateral relations. Because if there are two countries in the European Union, cooperation can be even more intense than it is at the moment. I would like to remind you again that just as we have the same opinion on your membership in the European Union, we have a diametrically different view on the membership of Ukraine in NATO. I have been very open to this topic with Mr. President Zelensky, and I have provided a number of arguments why we think that the state we are in now is good for finding a measure that will be just in accordance with the OECD Charter for your country, which is a constant source of war energy. Friends probably have to talk openly, and that is why it still applies that the Slovak Republic is ready to provide in the energy sector, the so-called, as we call it, Mr. Secretary of State, the supplier of the supply that is needed for the energy supply, the electricity, the emergency electricity, that when the energy system fails, We can supply a certain amount of electricity that helps the system to start in Ukraine. Of course, the gas infrastructure is being used, and through the gas infrastructure there is a risk of a nuclear attack. But at the same time, as a friend, I say that we are not 100% sure, and the topic of transit of gas from your territory, I understand that there is a war. On the other hand, we cannot accept all the arguments because today the Russian Federation is the second most important supplier of gas to Europe. Therefore, I think that in the process of negotiating your accession to the European Union, which we strongly support, we must also get to the topic of what will be the future of the transit that you have at your disposal through your territory. Will it be used? It will not be used. The war will end, and we all pray that it will end as soon as possible. But these are topics that we want to discuss normally with you as friends, because we do not have the same opinions on them. And now I am also speaking for the citizens of the Slovak Republic, so that you understand me, Mr. President, who is asking us the same question. Why is the infrastructure used on one side for the transport of gas to Ukraine, and the infrastructure for the transport of gas through Ukraine to the territory of the Slovak Republic cannot be used in the same way? I think that it should not be mentioned that with the loss of transit, the Slovak budget amounts to 500 to 600 million euros per year. At the European level, we stand by you. We support macro-financial assistance from the tool for Ukraine, that is the so-called Ukraine facility. But at the same time, we also insist on the merit of the access process and balanced economic relations, which also protect the legitimate interests of our farmers and industry. I think we should discuss this, Mr. Minister. It is not the role of the Prime Minister to solve everything, and therefore this format is very effective. We will probably discuss more political issues at our meeting, while the members of the government will discuss practical issues, and therefore the principle of merit and balanced economic relations is extremely important for us in mutual bilateral relations. But I think that the world will not be able to continue like it is now, a world in which a different opinion is not respected, a world in which international law has ceased to apply, a world in which the big ones do what they want. Such a world has no chance for the future, and therefore we take what is being done today at the European level only as a last straw of the bad order that has to leave the world stage, because otherwise we will get the whole world into the abyss. In cooperation with countries where the language is distant, therefore we believe that this is also a reason why cooperation between Slovakia and Ukraine is so close to the language. To the readiness of people who may also be here at our museum could be a subject of strategic partnership. Let's talk about whether we could not create not only a human framework, but also an institutional legal framework for cooperation between Slovakia and Ukraine, and create for the people who would express their interest, of course, normal standard working conditions as other members of the Slovak Republic have.